Well, thank you all for coming out this afternoon. We are trying to give daily updates on different things that are going on with the cleanup effort and the people who have been affected by these storms. And this is an important way for us to be able to get information out that's valuable and useful to all of you and certainly to the public. First of all, I want to continue to thank so many people that have worked so very, very hard, many long hours, and especially during this very tragic time. The mayors of both the cities, Moore and Oklahoma City, have certainly done a tremendous job. And I also want to mention the mayors of the other cities that have been involved in the Sunday tornado that we had. Certainly there are other cities besides Moore and Oklahoma City, from Shawnee to Kearney to Newcastle to Norman to Bethel Acres, many other cities in Oklahoma. We haven't forgotten about you, and we are still very much engaged in activities going on in your communities. The first responders, once again, are working very long hours. You can see tremendous progress that they have made. Our law enforcement officials, thank you very much for the great hours. The fire department. The volunteer organizations have done a superb job in getting goods, supplies, assistance out to those that have been left without a home, those that need help, even the first responders, the personnel working at the disaster sites. They've had some injuries, stepping on nails and getting some cuts, and they need medical help and services too, and certainly need the food and the water to be hydrated. Now we're starting to also see certainly the contractors, the debris removal people, construction people, the utility companies, all those types of businesses and associations, organizations that are coming in to help throughout the community. We appreciate them, and we certainly have not forgotten the families that have been affected by the tragedy that has been struck here. It is really sinking home to a lot of the people here in Oklahoma, that there are a lot of people that are still suffering and will continue to face lots of challenges moving forward in our state, but we will be there to support them. And then I want to thank the people of Oklahoma, the people across the nation, even across the world, that have been so compassionate, so caring, to express their thoughts, their prayers, and to lend their financial support, the volunteer hours. We've literally had people come from different areas of the nation to help. They've just driven up, brought supplies, wanted to volunteer their time, and certainly the media across the world. We appreciate all those who have helped so very much. And please continue to keep the people that have been affected in your prayers. They need that. And we certainly don't want to forget, as I said, the other communities that have faced tragedy over the past week. We want to also encourage our volunteer organizations to continue to reach out to the other communities outside of Moore and Oklahoma City that need our assistance and their help. Counties in Cleveland, Lincoln, McLean, Pottawatomie counties that have been affected. It's very important that those citizens also continue to register with FEMA, not just the areas here in Oklahoma City Moore, but the other areas across the state that have had damage, that they need to be able to, they need to register with FEMA so we know how to help them and know what type of services that they need. And certainly FEMA and our volunteer organizations are out in those communities helping them. To date, we've helped 2,200 Oklahomans that have registered through FEMA itself, but we know there are more out there. We also have some mobile disaster recovery centers right now that are set up where people can go talk to FEMA one-on-one. I visited several of those sites yesterday, and there are a lot of Oklahomans that are at those sites and need our help. There are 2 centers located at the First Baptist Church on 27th Street and Moore, and the heart of the Oklahoma Expo in Shawnee, Oklahoma, on Independence Street. And disaster recovery centers will also be located in 5 additional locations throughout the state where we've had other tornado touchdowns, and it's very important that we continue to service those areas too. As far as Moore, we are grateful that we've been able to, what we believe, reach the stage of recovery and debris removal. We have been able to identify the 6 missing persons that were thought to be missing. Some were in hotels. Some had, one person I heard put a note on their door and said, "Tornado's coming and I've left my home." And so we've been able to locate those people. We did have one person that was missing that was part of our 24 number count of death counts, and that person has been identified. We have around 377 Oklahomans and other individuals that have been injured through the disasters themselves. And of course, we hope and pray that those numbers will hold steady and that they won't go up, but it is possible that they could. Our main task now is to work on recovery for the various communities, the debris removal itself, to get the utilities back up and operational, streets open, businesses open, to help the families certainly get into their communities to be able to retrieve their personal items and goods. We have professional debris removal crews that are stationed, and there are also a lot of volunteer organizations that have come forward saying, what can we do to help? There's a great demonstration of citizen help yesterday that I heard about. I didn't get to see it, but I heard there was a call made to go out to one of our cemeteries in this area. They asked for volunteers to come out and help them, and I heard 1,000 people showed up. One person told me 1,500 people showed up. But anyway, there were a lot of people that showed up, and I heard it was a remarkable, encouraging scene to see so many Oklahomans that were willing to come out and help with the debris removal. Now, when I say debris removal and citizens helping, I mean along the roadsides, along some of the businesses, the parking lots, obviously in the heavy hit areas that needs to professionally be done by debris removal companies. Remember that you do need to work through these volunteer organizations like the Red Cross if you, or our emergency management office if you want to volunteer your time and be given access to the area to help with the debris removal. On the subject of access to the areas, we made some tremendous progress, as you can see, on the roads, the public areas, certainly within some of the business areas, of opening those areas up. People have been working 24 hours and getting that done. We appreciate that. All roads are being open to the residents, to the professional cleanup service organizations, to the local charities, the insurance appraisers, those type of professionals that need to get into these community areas to help the residents that live in those areas. We do still have checkpoints for security purposes to make sure that we're letting in the right people into those areas and protecting personal property and goods. We also have, and we're going to be explaining this in a few moments, 1 square mile that is still blocked off. That is the hardest hit area on the west side of town. But we've made some great progress. We moved from having 68 roadblocks and security checkpoint areas now down to 12. And so that is tremendous progress, and my thanks go out to all that have worked so hard. Security is important because we want to make sure that the right people are getting in to perform the services and not, frankly, getting in the way of those who have important duties to do. So we ask all people who are not eligible to go in these areas to please be courteous and to stay away, and there'll be other times for seeing the areas out of curiosity. Residents can now return to their homes and to their areas, as I mentioned, to collect those goods. And we're also telling residents that if they want to begin the process of moving debris as they can, there are certain areas that they can't because it's so big, the debris field is so big on their personal property, but if they have minor damage, they can begin moving some of that debris to the curbside. There will be equipment that will be coming through those communities to pick up that debris. Obviously, there are certain areas where the debris is so big and dangerous that homeowners should not try to attempt to remove that debris. There is help for that that will be coordinated through the city, through the Office of Emergency Management, and also through FEMA. They are on standby, ready and willing to help our citizens in that particular situation, but it will require that they sign a release waiver to FEMA and to the Office of Emergency Management to come on their personal property to help them once that is requested. Cleanup is a partnership between the citizens and their personal property and the businesses, and certainly partnership with the city, FEMA, and the Office of Emergency Management. But we do need to get the debris cleaned up, and so we can begin the process of rebuilding to get the utilities back up, the roads back up. The National Guard is also putting out some ice machines. Certainly water is very important. Hydration. It got hot yesterday. It was pretty strenuous working conditions. We want to make sure that people are safe. You need to also use sunblock. We have sunblock that's out there. Also, safety items are important so that we don't have injuries, and we're working real hard with that. We still have some National Guard members that are out there, and we appreciate their service. The National Guard also has chaplain teams. I've seen them around the various neighborhoods, the shelters, the different areas, to help those that are still having a hard time with what has occurred. The Department of Labor is working with those who are unemployed. There are a lot of people who are displaced, who can't go back to work, whose businesses may not still be there. There were businesses that weren't directly hit, but because the utilities were out, because the roads were closed, because there was debris in the current areas, the businesses have not been able to open. So we're working with the Oklahoma Employment Security Commission to be able to help people get unemployment funds to help them to get on with their life. And we also have information about that on our OK Strong website, official website for the state. Small business owners have obviously suffered too. I've seen a lot of our small businesses cleaning up their parking lots, washing down their buildings, trying to get back in operation. So we're working with our Oklahoma Department of Commerce to help get flyers to those businesses. Information's up on our website to help with some disaster relief, and also with FEMA funds through the SBA, Small Business Administration, that will be available to help our small businesses. With our people who have lost their identification, I've had people come up and say, I've lost my purse, I lost my billfold, I don't have identification. We've been working with our Department of Public Safety to try to get them identification. They can work through the Office of Emergency Management and through DPS. We've been working with our health department for those that have lost their birth certificates, those that need death certificates. There are many different issues facing the people. So we have a site located here in Moore at the Cleveland County Health Department to help people get their birth and death certificates. And for the other areas of the state that need birth and death certificates, they can either go to Moore or they can go to Oklahoma City to the Oklahoma State Health Department to get those items. Our Department of Agriculture has been working with homes and with farms that have lost animals. There were a lot of animals that were destroyed, injured during the tornado itself, and so if someone has a need to pick up animals, and we already have picked up over 100 animals, we can help with the disposal of that or help with those that might be injured through the Department of Agriculture. There's been some question about the quality of water, the quality of air. There's been certainly a little bit of a different smell in the air. We are closely monitoring the air conditions, the water condition through our Department of Environmental Quality. We have been sampling the water in the Moore area to make sure it's safe. So far, the tests have all come back fine, and drinking water, as far as we know, is safe. A couple of other little items I just want to share with you. We have some of our legislators that have joined us here today. I want to say thank you for the legislative support that we have received. I'm proud to announce that the House and the Senate has passed legislation that is on the way to my desk that will allow us to tap into our rainy day emergency funds to allocate $45 million that will be available for disaster relief to help our various communities in the state and citizens that have been affected by the disaster. So thank you to our legislators for your quick action and getting that done. We're actually in the last week of the session, so they acted very quickly. If you guys could act quickly on some other things, it might be nice too. But they've done a great job. It's been a hard week for our legislators too, because it is the last week of session and we've had a lot going on in our state. But this fund will allow us to reimburse our communities in Moore, Shawnee, Bethel Acres, Kearney, Newcastle, Oklahoma City, other areas that have been hit, Norman area that have been hit by these natural disasters. The bill passed in a huge bipartisan way, which we appreciate. The bipartisanship in that, and I'll be signing that as soon as it gets to my desk. And so now we're also not only in the stage of recovery and getting our community back together, but we also are in the stage of healing for our citizens. And the healing process will begin this weekend. Today we're announcing that we will hold a memorial service for all the various citizens of our state that have been affected by tornadoes and disasters and the storms. That will be Sunday night at the First Baptist Church at 301 Northeast 27th Street. The service will be open to all Oklahomans or anyone else that would like to join us, and it will be held for all communities that have been affected by this. It'll be a time for us to come together in prayer, for thankfulness, for those that have been helped through this tragedy. Also prayer for those who have lost loved ones and that have been injured in the storm itself. And it'll be a time for healing. And it will take place, as I said, at 6 o'clock. We do anticipate there will be a large crowd, so we have arranged bus transportation, and people who would like to attend the memorial service should park at Crossroads Mall to make it easy. As you guys all have witnessed, transportation and congestion in some of the areas has been challenging, so we're trying to take care of that up front. So we'll have shuttle service with Crossroads Mall, and we appreciate that.